How about now? Can anyone hear now? Oh, no. No. Okay, one more minute. Nobody can. Okay, 1 minute. You can hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, I hope so. Yay! Oh, I'll go ahead and confess now. Mark's not here. He's getting ready to come home from the beach. This was his week to go to the beach and be a slug. So I had to set it up by myself. And I had to set it up myself, and I thought, oh, please let this work. So, because if you don't do it for a while, you tend to forget. But anyway, but luckily he's coming back home. Although it looks a bit rainy out, we'll see what happens. But it's so good to see you all. I was going to tell you this too. I was getting ready today, and I said, I'm so lucky that these ladies will come and meet with me. I feel so fortunate to have you. And I was talking to Hopi this week about what a wonderful group we have. And y'all are the most wonderful ladies. So thank you for being part of my life. I'm feeling really good today. Yesterday, so many people turned out. It was such a happy day to watch all of that. I wanted to go. I had my grandson's band competition, and there was the rally downtown, and I wanted to go to at least one of them. And as it was, when I get nervous, I know there's a reason for me to be excited to wake up. I was up till 5 in the morning. And so I didn't make it, but I watched on TV and I was just thrilled. So hello, hello, hello. Oh, thank you, Miss Hopi. So Miss Hopi had her first sale yesterday and she sold some bags. So she's well on her way. Cross your fingers for her this week. She's got her big sale coming up this weekend. So, and I I was telling her I have always wanted to be able to sell what I create. I just thought, would that be the best life of all? Because I love making, I love creating, but I've never been able to make it work. And I've never known what was going to be the thing to sell. My daughter did was phenomenal at it. She made homemade goat's milk soap from her goat June, and and she did that for years and other little craft things. So I haven't been given that gift, but I love all of you artists like Dolores and Hopi that can sell the things they create. I mean, is that the best world of all? So, but Joso was the very first person here. I forgot to leave a placeholder. I am so sorry. I've got to remember to do that. Normally, I make up the next week's show before I leave from this week. When I say goodbye to all of y'all, I sit here and do that. But lately, I've gotten kind of lazy and I'm usually very hungry. And because this diet's going well, I'm sticking with it, guys. I want to be around for a while. So, but anyway, I'm hungry. I want to go upstairs and eat something. And I say, oh, I'll set it up upstairs. Well, the moment I go upstairs, real life begins. And I tend to forget. So, but it's been a good week. I had some really quiet time to myself, which I needed. The one thing that's hard for me about retirement is I don't get my guaranteed time, quiet time to myself. And it's something I have come to love about older age. And so it was nice to have some of that this week. But we've all missed him, and we're glad he's getting ready to come home. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Ukraine. I am so sorry, though. Unfortunately, somebody phone called, and so they're not going to get the weapons that they needed. But we want that war to be over. I'm tired of that faded rag hanging on my front porch. I know they are tired of this constant fighting instead of building that country and building a good life for themselves. And I want to send a shout out to another group of people who I'm sure are tired of the destruction, and that's Gaza. So we'll keep them in our minds, because you know what? Peace is a wonderful thing, and that's one thing that we really need and want. So, um, this week I have been pretty busy. My only problem when Mark is gone is I'm a night owl. And one night I was up sewing till 1:30. But the problem is the dogs need to get up early and go outside and potty. And then, of course, they need to eat breakfast. So finally, I learned I had to go back to bed, try to get a couple hours of sleep. But it's not the same sleep. It takes me a few minutes to fall back asleep. So I'm a little sleep deprived. So if I seem a little goofy today, please forgive me. But I wrote up my agenda, because I said, if you don't write up an agenda, girlfriend, you are not going to know what to say. But I just wanted to let you know that I got the binding started. I started sewing it on, and I really love the blue. Normally, we don't think of bindings as standing out, but I really like this. So I think it's going to look really good. So that got started. This week, I also worked on my sparrow quilt, because I can't wait to take that to the retreat in November and show people what I've done. And plus, I want to show y'all. I'm excited about taking the border and turning it into something instead of just a plain border. And so I've been sewing the little cherries on. And I got to tell you, maybe I'm just a real simple person, but I get such a kick out of sewing the little cherries on the border. And then right before I finish the applique, I stuff them with a little bit of leftover batting and then finish sewing them. That little extra makes me so happy. So, and we all know whatever happiness we can get nowadays is very, very important. Oh, I started to say hello, and then so Joe Sows and Hopi and Polly. It is so good to see our Polly. Polly, I didn't get any cleaning done of this room. Poor Polly has been waiting, 2 years to come over and sew again with me? But this place is a mess. My daughter's coming this Thursday, and Mark, I was telling him how I haven't gotten anything done on the room. He said, well, I'll help. So, oh gosh, we'll see. But I hate for my daughter to see this, because it's a mess. But I have been a whirlwind of creativity. And have you ever found if you stop creating to clean up, sometimes it's hard to get back going again? It's like you're riding a wave. It's like, hey, this is going well. This is working. I'm riding the wave. I don't want to stop. So what can you do? But all right, so Polly, I promise, I promise, I'm a terrible friend. And Marcia's here. Marcia and Josos are such wonderful moderators. They're so good about making everyone feel welcome. I can't tell you how much that means. So our Debbie is here, and let's see. Laura is here. I've gotten back into watching, the textile talks. I've got to send an email to our Linda, one of our new members, to let her know there was a wonderful textile talk lecture this past week of a woman who does the collage. I don't know where our Mary is. I better check on our Mary. I've been worried about her lately. So I will definitely check on our Mary. But um but if you get a chance, look, you can go to SAQA, SAQA, Studio Art Quilters Association, and you can sign up to do a Wednesday afternoon textile talks. They'll send you an invitation by Zoom, and they are really interesting. It's like getting a little trunk show or lecture once a week in the comfort of your own home. You'd like to know who the I don't know. So now I'm curious. But so just remember that we had pardon me. I got excited. Laura said we had 7,000. Oh, for the rally, 2,000 more than last year. That's wonderful. They said it was like twice the turnout of last time. And it's like, I want to be there the next time. So hopefully I will be able to sleep good. Mark and I are so silly. We don't sleep well without the other person nearby, even though we take turns snoring and stuff. But it just, it's just hard to get a good night's sleep. So, but I am working on the sparrow border. I'm so close to getting the borders finished, getting them put on the quilt so I can get it on the frame. Now, the moon glow progress. Pardon me, I did get excited. The moon glow is coming along. It didn't get as much done this week, but I do want to share it with you. And be careful when you put the needle in the thread spool. That woke me up this morning. And so I went to grab it. It's like, yow. Okay. Here is my number one block. I want to iron this really quickly. I am just a little vain when it comes to some of my quilting blocks, but okay, I just want to press this and then I'll show you. I put the dark purple border on it, and it's so funny. I read the pattern and it said it's a great pattern for teaching beginners piecing and working with color. And I thought, beginners, I consider myself an expert, but it's been tricky doing some of this piecing. So let me tell you. All right, let's see if I can give this a little press. And I haven't been pre-starching my fabric. I'm going to make sure to do that because, especially when you're sewing by hand, if the fabric doesn't have enough body, it's really hard to get a nice, solid fit. And you want the blocks to come out and lay as flat as possible. So, okay, let me put that back on. So here is the first block I did last week. And now you can see it has the border on it. And I just love the colors. Let me move things back and I will show you with the detail close-up camera. And but here is block number one. And so you can start to see, this is a big block. I think it's 13.5 inches. And this might be showing up as navy in your feed, but it's really very dark purple. And so that is that block. Then here is the next one. And let me see if I can get this just a wee bit pressed. This one was a little tricky because just the extra pieces that were in this one. But I'm learning. And honestly, we need to remember that if you haven't done hand piecing for a while, if you haven't done a block where all the pieces come together in the middle, it can be a wee bit tricky to get everything to line up. So here I first sew on these little side patches, these two sides. Then I make this as one unit. I sew the little cornerstones. See the black or eyelash black cornerstone? And then that way I sew it as one piece onto these side pieces. It's just the way I've always done it. But I think this is going to be so pretty. And I love the moody colors of it. So I'm very glad. But I did get some. I was putting these borders on, and I did them by hand. And see the black stitching. And let me tell you, it is really hard to stitch black on black. But let me see if this will show up as dark purple. Now, keep showing up as where I can see it. It looks like navy. All right, now let me find. Got so many things to show you. I've got look at all this stuff here. It's a bunch of stuff. Okay, so now what I want to do is just kind of give you a little. I better turn. Oh, okay. I think it's fine. All right. So here is Moon Glow. This is block number 3. And here is that. And that's going to be really pretty and challenging. I mean, if you start looking, you've got Y seams, everything. So each month for each of the 13 blocks, you get this folder and it shows you how to cut the fabric and then how to do reverse. Anytime like you'll see piece B and then you'll see BR, the R means reverse. And it shows you how to piece it. And I think there's even a video. It's probably still on YouTube. I should go and watch because I love Miss Jenny's voice. I love her calm manner. She's the exact opposite of me. She's calm and well-spoken and, and I tend to be flighty and you know how that is. But you could do this piece by paper piecing, which, that always gets me excited. But I'm going to do it the template method. And so here are the templates. Let me get it out my hole punch because it is important to know where to start. I'm doing this by hand, so knowing where to start and punch that little hole and where to finish is very, very helpful because you really do need to get your fabrics aligned, your pieces aligned well so that everything fits as it should. So I just made the little holes in so I can lay them on the fabric and mark them. But what I've done for the first 4 blocks, first 4 or 5, I've pre-cut the pieces out. So this has some of a dark purple and navy blue. Okay, so this is the purple, that's the blue. Here's a piece. Look at these, have 2 different fabrics, turquoise and a dark green. And then here are the background pieces. Okay, so I cut all of this out, then it's ready to go. And of course the first thing I'm going to do is to mark the pieces. Okay, let's see. These pieces have 2 on them. Let me see. Got to put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. All right, now let me do the hole punch here. And then here. Oops. Whoops. I'll get it. Sometimes the more I rush, the more my trimmer bothers me, but I forgot to take my medicine this morning. Okay, there we go. So now all the holes are punched here. And what I've been liking doing is taking and using tailor's chalk. And I'll show you. All right, so this must be a reverse piece. See how it's going that way? So I just turn this over and then it fits the reverse. And then I just put some of this tailor's chalk across the hole in the paper. And then when you lift it off, whoops, I got two of them, didn't get this third. I think the paper closed. Yeah, the paper closed. Let me try to, yeah, I pulled the paper off. Okay, now let me try that again. So, okay, so now I have all three positions marked. All right. So what I do first is I'm going to put a piece C on the top. Okay. So my piece C's, here is piece B. That's the longer ones. That's for this. Whoops. Pardon me. Okay. I've got to check that. Okay. This is piece B, the longer ones. Here is piece C, the shorter ones. So now, let me, hold on just 1 second. Let me look over here. All right. I'm looking at a block going this direction. Let's say it's probably this one. So I'm going to want a blue here, and I'm going to want a green here. And it looks like, yeah, the green sits above. Okay, so the first one, if you'll look at this block right here, you sew this dark blue on first, right here, because this is what we're working on right there. Okay, so you sew the blue one on first, because if you look over to this one, the dark green one, you can see that this has to sew on top of that. Well, if that's the case, then sew this first, then put this on, and then that will complete that block. So I need then, I just forgot it, dark blue, and I'm going to use a dark green to go along the top. I need dark blue for here, and let me see, 1 second. Dark blue, aha. Now I know why it didn't look right. So this one's going to fit right here, then this one is going to fit right here. But now, notice that I need to know where to start sewing here. So I'm going to go pull back that pattern because I totally forgot to mark this. So I'm going to come in here. Let me put a little hole in this. This is just kind of, I'm just giving you a brief overview of how do you handle some of these kits. You don't usually have someone to ask. And so you look at the pattern, you look at the pictures. I'm very visual, so pictures tell me a lot. But now I know. Whoops, let me put the marks on this one. Remember, this is all reversed. So that's why you see me turning over the pattern to put them on, because this one's facing to the left. So that's the reverse. So now I've marked all 3 spots on this. And I know that this one's going to go right here. So what I do is I flip it over like this, and then I'm going to match the dots. You can do it using a pen, pushing a pen through one dot and another one. You match the dots down here as well. So if you notice, it's a little bit short on each one, but once you stitch it, and you see how the dots were going to match, whoop, see, but I want to show you where the dots will match up once they're turned over. So once I put those in place and I make sure the dots match, then I will take and put a pin in place, and then I can start stitching. Once I sew all the way down, then I usually do this in my comfy chair because I do it by hand. And then once I stitch all the way down, I flip it over. I do a fingernail press. You know, I use my finger and then run my fingernail along, fold that back. Then I'll come in here with this one. So this one will be back like that. I come in here with this one and lay it right, make sure the dots will match. So the bottom only goes to here, which you might think that doesn't look right. That's the way it's supposed to be for this. So you'll turn this over, you'll stitch down there, and then there you go. And you'll make 4 of these, and then you'll make 4 of the ones going the opposite way. And that way they will meet like this. This will be 1/4 of the block. The nice thing about doing it by hand, if you make a mistake, it's very easy to take out your stitches. Sometimes when you take out stitches when you're machine sewing it, it's easy to kind of bang up the thread and the fabric a little, but this makes it very easy. All right, so, but it shows you what piece, whoops, let me get under the camera, shows you piece B, piece C, A reverse. Remember I told you about the reverse. And the actual C, let me see, yeah, they do have reverse. But over here is the drawing, and I was showing you how you put this piece on first. You see right here, put that piece on first, then you sew this piece, so then you have that. You make 4 of those, and here is the other, these are the reverse, this is the regular direction. Then you put those together, then you put all 4 together, you end up with your wonderful star. Then remember the little pieces I told you about that are the outer borders and cornerstones, and boom, there you go. So this is the block I'm going to do this week. She lists all of the fabric colors and how many pieces you need of each one and what template to use. It makes it pretty simple. There's our Mary. Yes, it really does help doing by hand. Oh, thank you for asking, Polly. Well, there's several reasons. Let me come back to the main camera. There are a couple of reasons. All right. One, probably the main reason I'm sewing by hand is because Jenny Beyer makes all of her quilts by hand. She even quilts them by hand. And so it's like a little homage to our wonderful Jenny. But yeah, and the Y seams, gosh, Joe doesn't miss a trick. That's wonderful. Also, yes, there are a lot of Y seams, things I don't do normally that I want. It just makes it so much easier to do it by hand. Also, I have several other projects I'm doing on the machine, and it gives me a chance to get something done in the evenings when I can put my feet up and watch my favorite television show. The older I get, the more I love sewing by hand. But also, honestly, for something like this, I think I would do a better job by hand. I took a class from Miss Jenny where she taught us hand sewing, how she does her hand sewing. And she's amazing. She's done it so much for so long that she is truly just about as fast as doing it by machine. So it's amazing. It's amazing to watch her. So anyway, so that's where my moon glow is going. It's giving me a lot of happiness. to keep it, to get it, finally get this thing going and to keep it going. I've got to tell you, I'm really happy keeping several projects going at once because I tend to get bored easily. And sometimes I don't feel like sitting down to a machine. Sometimes I don't feel, sometimes like the border that I'm putting the cherries on. I'll be sitting there in the evening and I'm like, I want to do something. I don't feel like putting cherries on. Oh, I could work on this. So you can imagine what the table beside my chair looks like. It is stacked. It's got paper beads. It's got the cherry border I'm trying to get finished. It's got the moon glow on it right now. It's got some paint brushes in case I feel like doing some dot painting. I Mark calls it my piles, and it is hilarious. But to me, I keep a bag. Okay. I used to have a problem getting ready on time because I was afraid of getting somewhere early and being bored. Being bored is my big fear. Even though I've never been bored in my life, I wish I had more lifetimes just to do everything I think about doing. But I keep a bag packed with either handwork project or crochet. That way, when I take off to go to a doctor's appointment or whatever, I've got something to keep me interested in case I get there early. And it's really helped me to be on time by knowing it's okay. I won't be bored. I won't be just sitting there. I've got something to work on. So, anyway, I worked some more on the fall landscape, and this is the wonderful Smoky Mountain quilt that Reid from from Wender Aspire and on Etsy. It's one of his artworks, and he gave us generous permission to use his artwork and make a fabric, maybe make an art quilt out of it. So I have a pattern drawn. If you would, oh, I'll have to take a picture of my table and you'll see what it looks like because goodness gracious, it's piled high and every once in a while I'll knock something off and I'm like, oh no, but it's pretty busy. So, but anyway, I love this fall art quilt. Do you notice? Are you able to see now it's starting to come together? At first, it was just blocking the colors in. And remember, I always tell you, it starts to look like an awkward preteen and you just stick with it because it is really coming along. It's really starting to get defined. So now I'm going to bring you to the close-up camera so I can show you what I've been doing on it this week. There's a good reason why I don't have more done on it, and I'll show you that next. But for right now, or almost next, okay, let me get the camera set up and ta-da! Okay. uh, okay, here we go. So now, this week, I was distracted, and I'll show you why. But I came in, I noticed on this camera, it's still showing too much in the way of lines, so I will continue working on that. But I tried to erase some of those lines where I was working too fast. I've come in and added more thread work to kind of give more definition. Then I came in with more thread and am giving more definition. It is coming to life, isn't it? And now, right now, that looks a little flat. But once what I do when I go to give definition using thread painting, I'll get a dark, a medium, and a light. So just one is not that exciting. But when I go ahead and come in and add a medium and then some highlights, thinking of where the sun's coming from and put highlights, then it really will come to life. Just like with this tree, I've got I've got the darkest brown, a medium chocolate brown, and then a very light brown. And by the time you put the three different colors, it really blossoms. So I came in here and did a little bit more work. Now, these have really shown the effort of the thread sketching. And some people call it thread painting, some people call it thread sketching. I guess the difference is with thread sketching, you're trying not to cover up the fabric, you're just accenting it. But I've come in with a dark and a medium and a light of greens. Here, these are supposed to be deciduous trees in the background. And when I first just put the fabric, it just fell flat. But I've come in and done more work on them, still leaving this one to be a lighter one and this one a more medium to dark one. Oh, thank you. And let me, oh, Debbie. Okay, yes. I I do. I'm excited about Debbie's snail trail. I can't wait to see all of that. Now, remember how when I first did this, it was too stark. It was, what is that? So I've come in and so far I've got three different tints or shades of green and starting to define accent colors and then definition, coming in with the dark and defining where one tree starts and another stops. We'll be continuing to do a little bit more down here so that that part of the tree line shows. I think one thing that's really working well is doing the thread sketching to outline the different color swaths. And this is supposed to be the Smoky Mountains in the background. And by outlining the different fabrics, it helps show the lines of the mountains because each different color is a different type of mountain line and where the light is shining on it in a slightly different way. I've done nothing up here except stitch them down with invisible thread. You see right here, that's the invisible thread. If it weren't for the little holes it makes in it, you would never even know it's there. But I've started now with doing the three different colors of the thread sketching. So you're starting to get a feeling of depth and interest here with the leaves. So now let me pull back and let you see how it's coming along. Now, and don't forget, we still have another. Once I finish, I need to get the three different colors in the leaves. Once we get all of that, we've done everything we can with the machine, then I'll come in with my ink tints, pencils, and blocks, and I'll come in here and give it that next layer. And if you can imagine the difference. Let me see if I can find an early photo of this. I'm hoping, let me see. Wonder if one is on my phone. Hold on just a second, guys. Okay, let's see. Give me just a second to try to find this photo because I know I have. I know I have it. Oops, excuse me. You know what? The silly phones, they want now. Let me try to find it on this. These silly phones always want to oh, try it with this and try it with that. And sometimes it's like, just let me scroll through the way I want. Don't try to do it for me. Okay, fall art quilt. I'm going to bring up, okay, this is the best way to show you how far this is coming along. All right, here is, now I didn't mean to have that happen. Let me see if I can close this out. Okay, minimize this. All right, here we go. Here is the art quilt just 2 weeks ago. Do you see how, can you see how flat the leaves look? There's no texture, there's no anything. There's nothing wrong with it, but you know, now look down here. See how these trees have no definition, nothing? Oh, yeah, loose batting is tricky. And then you see down in here, it's like no real definition. Remember how I told you these looked odd because they're just these different color blobs there? So I just wanted to show you the benefit of coming in and doing thread sketching to actually, like, look at the tree itself. You see, okay, it's nice that it has fabric that shows um, a different range of color, gives it a little interest. Whoops, no, come bigger. Let me see. But now go from that to this and see if you can tell what the time spent doing thread sketching has done for it. I think it's just such, look at the tree. Now that is a tree. That is a tree. You compare, once again, compare that to this. Do you see the difference? So there's a reason we do all of this. Okay, go from that tree to this one. There's a reason. And the time spent doing this is time well spent. And it's so, I love these collage quilts. I think they are so much fun. Thank goodness for fusible. And so we're well on our way. Now, you're looking over here at my mountains. Let me go one more time back to the mountains before. See how they were kind of like mountain soup. But then when I put the thread painting in, and I'm not even done with them, but now look, do you see the difference there? So I really love it. It's a great process, pardon me. And it's going to take me a little bit longer. Some people say, oh, well, that just takes too much time. Not really. It depends on what you want out of any particular project. And luckily, time is something I have something of right now since I'm retired, which I dearly love being retired. Okay, so I'm going to show you the reason that I was busy this week, but there's one more thing to see first. Oh, and let me go ahead. I want to write Reid's website down. Oh, thank you, Miss Laura. And thank you, Marcia. I want to write this website. It's Wender Aspire on Etsy. And his name is Reid. And please check. Please go and this particular quilt is Smoky Mountain stained glass look. what an amazing artist he is. And I'm so thankful that he said, sure, just send me a picture when you're done. So I'm thrilled. I think that is what I love, when we can collaborate with the actual artist. That is just phenomenal. All right. So now I want to show you what I've gotten done this week on the Grinch. And I saw somewhere, I saw somewhere a Grinch pillow, and I thought, wow, how cute. Here is, I saved it and printed it out, and I thought, I can do that. Now, I don't like fake fur. I mean, I like it. I just don't like working with it, because fake fur just sets off my allergies, or I don't know, it just irritates me. I'm sensitive. My skin is sensitive to things that aren't cotton. This is minky. You see what's happening when I rub it? I did notice I had to iron on some stabilizer, and this is the stabilizer that's used when you do not applique, when you do machine embroidery. So I had to iron this on, and I did notice it changed the texture just a little. Here it's just a little softer and squishier. It's not bad, but it changed it a little. So make sure you know which way. This has a nap to it. Nap meaning which way the grain of the fabric runs. Because see, this way it's dark, this way it's light. So just decide which way you want the face to be. And there. So I took this piece of template plastic, I guess it's like Mylar, and I drew the Grinch face on this Mylar. Then I took an X-Acto knife and tried cutting out. Now let me get a white piece of paper. Tried cutting out the face so I have a template. I couldn't quite, I've got the other eye part upstairs, but I cut before I thought, how am I going to leave that eye hanging there? And where I had to cut out the eyebrow, I drew kind of how his eyebrow was supposed to look above it. Right here, when I did the little creases under his eyes, it was too hard to try to get two separate little creases. So I just made a little notation down here to remind me of exactly what those creases look like, so that when it comes time to do the embroidery. But I managed to cut this out. I couldn't do it just with the X-Acto knife. It was really difficult. So I used the X-Acto knife to get a line open in it. Remember, with a stencil, like right here, I wanted a little line under it. Well, you have to leave that connected. If I cut it on that, then I would no longer have that little line. So you just kind of got to be careful and take your time. And here's the little nose and a little crease under the nose. So then, once I had this cut out, I laid it on top of the fabric, made sure I centered it where I wanted it to be, and then used a Sharpie to care. I tried using something lightweight. It's hard to mark on Minky, so I had to go ahead and use a Sharpie. And I can't wait to actually do the hand embroidery, but I went ahead and ordered a heavier weight pearl cotton instead of using the floss, because I want it to be I don't want it lost in the nap of the Minky. So I've ordered black and yellow for the irises of the eyes. So I've got that. It's going to be coming in. And let me just check one thing really quickly. Oh, good. I was worried because I thought, oh no, this filled in the middle. But what I've noticed by this picture is the yellow fills in the middle too. So just be careful you don't put any marks where you don't want something over top of it or it will show. So just be careful. But I'll show you the heavier pearl cottons are due in tomorrow. And so then I will have one done by next week and I'll show you what it's like. Now, I'm making 8 of these. That's how many that I can make with the amount of minky that I bought. So what I did to save money, bags of stuffing are expensive. So I went on walmart.com and let me come back to y'all here. I went to walmart.com and looked up their cheapest bed pillows and then bought 4 bed pillows. So what I'm going to do then is make sure that the stuffing is equally distributed to each end of a bed pillow and then make 2 sewing lines. I'm just going to put them under my sewing machine and stitch, then cut them apart. So I'll use half of a cheap bed pillow. Boy, the black comes off. I'll have to be careful. It must come off the minky. So I just noticed when I held my hand up. So be careful. And I was rubbing on it too. Don't rub on it because I don't know if it's coming off the minky or if it's coming off the stencil that I made. But anyway, so I bought 4 bed pillows. And since I'm going to cut them in half, and I'm not going to cut them open until after I have sewn a seam down each side of the middle. And all I have to do is push the stuffing on either side, pin it all along so I have a flat little sewing area. And I'll sew, probably back and forth twice. And then I can cut down the middle. And that way, I think I bought a 2-pack of pillows for $6 and maybe 50 cents. So think of how much a pillow form costs. And so for $13, I am able to stuff 8 pillows. So not a bad thing, not much cheaper than buying a pillow form. I'm really cheap. And if I can find a way to do something less expensive, that's my way. So, all right. So that's the progress then on my Grinch. Oh, and when I'm done doing the hand embroidery, I will carefully cut off that stabilizer so that nothing happens I want the pillow to still be soft and cuddly. All right. Now, then, while I was ordering the pillows, I knew that I finally figured out, I think I told you this last week, finally figured out what to make as a gift to the teachers of the classes I'll be taking in the next few months and at the leader of the retreat, the couple people who really worked hard to make the retreat happen. So now I'll show you. I saw a picture of this and it is called a Blossy Basket. I found it on Craftapalooza, and Nick is the wonderful lady who I bought the pattern from, and it makes a nice, cute little bowl, and you can either sew designs or center the designs when you get ready to cut them out. So knowing I was going to make this and knowing that I wanted it to have some stability, let me show you real quick. Here are the patterns right here. And so what I did is I went ahead and bought mid-weight interfacing. It's fusible. And I'm hoping it will give the basket, I might have to use 2 layers, but I'm hoping it will give the basket just a little body so that it will hold itself well, not get too smushy. So I will be making these. I've got to make at least 3 up 3 or 4 of them by November. So I'm going to be a busy lady. What's new? What is new? Then Miss Bonnie came up. She found this on the internet. It was free. Baking soda galaxy ornaments. Oh my gosh. I have got to try this. So my daughter's coming into town this week, and I said, "Ooh, Katie, got something fun for us to do." So here, we will give these a shot. Next week, I will show you how they did, because I'm hoping they're going to turn out really beautiful. But thank you so much to our wonderful Bonnie. I mean, goodness gracious, she finds stuff for us all the time, and I love it. I love it. So, okay, so that we have. Now, all right. Let me come back to the main camera. And for the main event, Mark went to the doctor a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and we love our doctor. And she has, I say she has saved my life at least 2 times, and I'm not being melodramatic. In one of them, she noticed that my calcium level was going up, was much too high. And now it's like 9.3, but it was in the upper 10s, close to 11. I think at one point it did jump over 11. And when your calcium's too high, it can make you paranoid. It can make you foggy, very foggy. It makes you just feel awful. You just don't feel good. And so first the thought was, well, go to an endocrinologist. Well, I went to the endocrinologist and I was telling him I'm just not feeling well. Mark had come to me before I went to this new doctor and said, "You're just not, something's not right. You just want to sit there. You don't have any excitement." I just felt off. And he said, "Something's not right, Deb." And I said, "Well, I'm doing my chores, but everything I did really took supreme effort." Well, when I went to the endocrinologist, they said, "Well, you have these little things called parathyroid glands, and they're the size of a grain of rice, and there's 2 on each side of your thyroid in your neck. And that they've probably grown too big, and it's causing you to pull calcium out, because they regulate calcium. When they get too big, they over-regulate calcium." And I always had really good bone density, and all of a sudden my bone density wasn't so good anymore. Well, they kept wanting to watch it, but I finally went back to her and said, "Look," I went back to my own doctor, because I had read up. I read up on this, and they said, "Oh, yay, Mary. Oh, Mary, I'm so glad." And, but what I was reading says, no, have those parathyroid glands taken out, because this is debilitating and it's never going to get better. Once they grow bigger, then there's no way to get them to shrink. So when I was reading this, I went back to my doctor and I said, they just want to watch it, but I'm miserable. And I told him, I said, I told my doctor, I'd rather be dead than to live like this anymore. She goes, "Okay, we're going to go straight to a surgeon. We don't need to go through endocrinology and play this game. We're going to go straight to a surgeon." So I ended up having to have 2 surgeries right across here. The first, they do a nuclear test. They inject you with radioactive dye, and then they try to track down that. Well, there were actually 2 glands that were enlarged, but they couldn't quite pin down the second one. It was hiding behind one of the others. But anyway, I had 2 neck surgeries, really simple. outpatient, easy peasy. And so I had the first one in 2015, the second one in 2017, because I thought, no, I think something's still there. It has changed my life. I couldn't do what I'm doing now if I hadn't have gotten that surgery. But she listened to me. She acted. And the endocrinologists weren't happy, but too bad. I was not living life. I was just existing. The second time was in 2020. I passed what I think was a kidney stone. It was not fun, and I told my doctor. She said, "You know what, Deb? I'm going to do an ultrasound of your kidneys and see what's going on. Why did you have a kidney stone?" I thought, okay. I said, she's being overprotective, but okay, I'll do it. Well, what they found is I had a huge tumor on my right kidney. Huge. And luckily, it was caught before there were symptoms, so it had not metastasized. And they were able to take that out. And then, they opened me all the way down the middle, took the kidney out, and now here 5 years later, I'm fine. So this woman has saved my life twice. She's getting ready to retire, and it just all of a sudden hit me. I've really got to say goodbye to her. That's a little scary, you know? She's been such a good cheerleader for me and really helping me to take care of myself and believe myself. And so, well, the thing is, she thought she had done by sending me to an endocrinologist. She thought they were handling it. But when she realized that they weren't handling it in a way that helped me, she was like, "We'll take the bull right by the horns." So, but anyway, so I realized I'm going to see her the end of November. I thought, as soon as you found out she was retiring, you were going to make a quilt. You haven't started a quilt yet. So I went to fabricoutlet.com. I cannot say enough about them. The fabric was on sale for $8.99 a yard. When I put my order together, there was no shipping fee because it was over that minimum. And the fabric was to me in like 3 to 4 days from the day I ordered it when I was first looking for it. So they were lovely. They wrote me a nice note when they packed it. There is nothing like good personal service. And that's where going to a quilt shop can be so wonderful. So I ordered this fabric. I kept thinking, well, what am I going to make the quilt about? Well, she mentioned they had a lake house. So I started looking up lake fabric. Then I said, well, okay, but now what am I going to do to make this quilt? And there was a panel that I ordered with it. And so I started looking, and you know me, I go round and around looking at Pinterest everywhere for patterns for paneled quilts. I'm getting excited. And I couldn't really find a pattern as written that did anything for me. So instead, I kept looking. I said, okay, what are different kinds of blocks that you like? That way you can do the panel. And I knew I would have a border print, so I'd have a small border and a wider border I could play with. I thought about those migrating geese blocks. I've always wanted to make one. I've never made one. Deb Tucker made a great ruler and project sheet from it. And I thought, well, I don't have time, don't want to spend that much more money, because making a quilt is, you figure it's at least $100 to make someone a quilt. And so the two blocks that I found I really liked were the migrating geese and then the good old square in a square. So, in fact, let me show you. Here is my square in a square that I made. And guess who learned how to make migrating geese? So now, if you would please, I'm going to show you what. So I got the fabric Tuesday. I had the pattern made that night, and I started work on it Wednesday. And let me show you what I've gotten going. Okay. Here, oops, showing you this, look, this side. I love those migrating geese. So this is what I've got so far. So now let me show you how I planned it and how I'm executing it. And then I'm going to give you a quickie tutorial on how to make my geese. All right. Let me come. What would I do without this second camera? I don't know how I did it before. Okay, here we go. All right. So here is the panel right here. And it had a nice edge around it. Okay. Then this is the smaller border that was on the border print. It came with this. So so it had this, then another one of these, and another one of these. Okay. So, and I thought I might add fabrics to it, but I didn't need to once I got it here. And I got 7 yards. I got a yard of this striped print. I got maybe 2 yards of the border print, 1 panel. I got 1 yard of this print and 2 yards of this print. And there is another print that I'm not seeing, but I know what I used it for. What did I just do with? I did something with those square in a square blocks. I hate how I'll put something down and then it disappears. Well, I will find it. It's sitting here in one of these piles, I'm sure. So, okay, so now I want to show you. So I cut this little border, and I knew this had blue around the edge. So I said, okay, I like doing light and dark, all of that. Got this put on, and then I was going to put this on next. But I said, you know what? It kind of needs something to divide it up. So I went ahead and cut this fabric and made a 2-inch, it's an 1.5 inch finished, but I cut 2-inch mini border to put here. And then here next is my migrating geese. And then I'm going to put this, I'm going to put the squares in a squares as the next border. And then I will finish off. I will probably take a fabric like this, probably this one of the little dragonflies. I'll make a narrow border, and then this will finish it off. Okay, so I'll probably put one of my grays, another 2-inch little border there, then put this around the outside edge. And here are my blocks that I thought I lost. And these are very simple, and I wanted to make them look just a little different. I kind of I was thinking, should I put this fabric right here? But I knew I had to have them dark because it reads so light. And so I planned this out in EQ8, and then it told me what size to cut everything. And here they are. All right, now let's talk. So here's what it's going to be. I do love this. Oh, there's maybe one problem. I decided to use the leftover. This is from that inner border. This is from this border right here. I used the leftovers and fussy cut my centers for this. And I'm probably going to be a couple short. So I haven't decided exactly what to do. The easiest thing probably would be to scan this design and to print these on some printable fabric and try to, stabilize it. What I may do is just do something else in the center. And since I'm missing only 4, there were 40, supposed to be 42, 4, I might make them my cornerstones. So I'm still kind of playing with that. But a square and a square is so easy. You just sew these triangles around the edge, then sew these triangles around. I'll demonstrate that for you next week. This fabric is here to show you that the migrating geese, I need to cut a triangle to fit right here. This probably roughly the same size to put right here to finish this off. I already did this. They say you can take here, one of the blocks is right here. You can take that for the triangle, but it wouldn't look right here. But this one, you can take apart one of these and put this right here, just to straighten these out, because you put them together like this. And that's how you get the straight line. Now, the really interesting thing is I had to figure out, I knew I wanted a 6-inch border. How do I make a 6-inch border from a pattern I've never even made before? So I watched several YouTube videos for migrating geese, and what it showed, and I forgot and cut all of them. Well, let me see if I can piece this back together. Put 2, let me see. All right. These were, let me see. Let me figure out which ones are different. Okay, so that's one of that. Those are the same, that's why. Okay, here we go. What I did to make a 6-inch migrating goose, is I watched several of the shows. Now let me move this background off so I can show you this. I want you to be able to definitely be able to see it. Okay. So, all right. Now, there's my migrating geese. Whoops, here are the 2 things. I watched them cutting the pieces, and I watched them cut the pieces. They cut them on a cutting mat. And so when I saw somebody making what looked like a 6-inch wide migrating geese border, I counted the squares on their cutting mat to see how big were the basic shapes. So what you ended up cutting first was a 4 7/8 inch light colored block. Okay, 4 7/8 for this gray block. Then you have to cut these little pieces bigger because you cut them in half, and so they've got to be a little bit bigger. This I cut a 5 1/4 inch square. Wait a minute. How does this? I guess it goes like this. You cut a 5 1/4 inch square, then cut it in half. Okay. So 5 1/4 inch square, then you cut it in half. So 4 7/8 for the solid square, 4 7/8 for that one, and then 5 1/4 for these. Okay, so when you do that, and you then cut your 5 1/4 in half, here is that half. This is the half of the blue. And then you take, so you would, and this is, remember, this is one solid piece, 4 7/8. Then you take a triangle because you took your 5 1/4 dark square and cut it in half. You lay it on your light colored square, and this is where it's different. You sew along this outer edge and down this outer edge. Okay? You sewed these two together here. Now, you can't open them or do anything with them. What you end up doing is you cut it in half along the diagonal. Once you cut it in half along the diagonal, then look what you can do. Then you fold that up, you press it, you fold this up, and you press it. And what you end up making is a left and a right piece. So this, like we do reversing, this is a reverse of this. Now, you want to then create this wonderful block. Or border. How do you do this? What you do is you start with this one, and then you come up, whoops, or do you start with this one? I'm trying to, wait a minute, hold on. I know how to do this. Hold on. It gets me every time. Okay, you start at the bottom and work up, which is not something I'm normally that comfortable with. Okay, see how this looks really odd. You think, how is that going to make a border? But you sew these two together. Okay, now let me do that real quick and I'll be right back because that's the best way for me to show you how to make these. You've got a left and a right. You turn this one so this straight line. Okay, then you place this one up here. Now that looks crazy, but trust me, it will work. Let me quickly, I hope my machine is, oh, it's not threaded. Oh, heavens, heavens. Let me grab some thread. Okay. All right. Whoops. Okay. Let me just sewing this little bit is not that exciting. So I'll be right back soon as, and in fact, I'll move this under it so you can be looking at it going, how did she say that she did that again? Because it helps you if you look at it and just try to visualize. How do I put that together? Luckily, there are some really good YouTube videos out there where they'll kind of guide you through it. And if you want, go to Deb Tucker's site, and she has a handout sheet that she sells. And that would help you. She has it listed so you can make very small ones up to 15-inch migrating geese. So that gives you just everything. All right, I've finally got the needle threaded. Let me get this done. All right, right across here. Just line up the edges. Okay. All right. Okay, here we are. All right. So we're going to make that. Whoops. Uh-oh. Are you getting loose here? Okay. So before I go any further, I want to cut off my dog ears and cut off this dog ear. All right. So what I did is, if you remember, I turned this at a diagonal. Wait a minute. How did I do this? I didn't sew it right. Let me try that again. When you have to do something that's out of the ordinary, like every time, if I haven't paper pieced in 6 months and I start paper piecing, I get confused. Okay, this did not meet right. I should have realized, because as soon as you sew the two pieces together, you see, now I know. I can kind of see where you're going, but it's getting it started right. I made one that, I guess, Friday, I made my first one, or Thursday, and then tried to make one yesterday and got all confused and sewed it wrong, because I keep wanting to start at the top, but you start at the bottom. All right, let me try this one more time. All right, you turn this, see how I feel like that's the block, but you turn it this way, so this line becomes a straight line. Then you bring this up here and sew it here. So what I did is I put that piece, but it's not. You sew this right here to the piece. So let me quickly do that. And this will just show you, just be patient. It's a little tricky to get used to, and it might be good the first time you make one to have the YouTube channel of one of the people who have done the show. Have it ready to go. Okay. Let me give this a press. Press all the seams going up, because Deb Tucker said all of these need, there'll be a lot of seams coming together if you're not careful. And just go ahead and grade your seams, trim off your dog ears. All right. So now, where do you put the next piece? Remember these two edges, that's your 6-inch edge of border. So what you do next is, okay, here are your matching pieces right here. You're going to want to put this gray against the dark blue. Okay, so then you stitch that. And what I found was helpful is to kind of match. Let me trim off this dog ear so you can see, but just match this top edge, and do not worry if this point goes past the end. So let me stitch this and I'll be right back with that to show you. Because I love these blocks, especially for an ocean or lake type. I think they work perfectly. Let me grab my scissors. If I have a excess seam to trim, I like to do it before I sew it. It just makes it lay flatter and nicer. So, okay, here we come back. All right. Now, so if you can remember, this might help. Now, this is a tricky part. I actually probably should have brought this down just a touch because do you see how that this is slightly off? But just remember, you may have to give this a little more generous side seam because I had a hard time. Like here, they're doing really well until here, so just kind of be careful. You want this to hang over the edge a little touch more. So now you've got these 3 geese right here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now let's say you want to finish off down here. What you're going to end up doing is putting a goose there. Then you're going to cut this off here and put this triangle here. Okay. You just want to square off. To square this off, you put the goose there, and then you'll take this off and put fabric, this gray fabric. In fact, probably this piece will fit fine, then you trim it even. So you just have to trim it up. But, okay, so now, so you're going to start, you work with it like this, okay? So your next piece, well, one thing you find, you end up with 2 of the dark blocks. So you pick the other side where you have the light, and you put that one there. Now, then that means you have 2 dark blocks here. So this piece would not work. You need the piece where you can put this and have the light go against those 2 darks. Now you have 2 darks up here, so you get one where you have a long light side. Because see, you couldn't put this here, that wouldn't work. So that long light side goes there. And then once you sew, now you see the border forming. So, what do you think? What do you think? So this is pretty exciting. It's pretty easy to do. The trickiest part is laying them out, getting the measurements right. But otherwise, I am in love with this. I think this is wonderful. Thank you to Deb Tucker. Thank you to the other people who made YouTube videos that really helped me because I was getting more and more confused. So then when you want to finish off this top, okay, you need, let me bring it back down just a little. Okay, like this. All right. Now, so then what you need is you have the 2 darks, so you need a long light side, like this. There you go. All right, so what you're going to do then is you're going to open the seam between the light and the dark. Take this off, and then come back and get a piece of light fabric and cut a triangle to go right there to finish that off. Feel free when you do the finish off piece here, okay? Because you remember you're taking this off, so you just need a triangle to finish this out. Feel free to cut a larger size, and that way you can trim it evenly and you don't have to worry. Don't stress yourself out. So that's how you finish off the top edge. The bottom edge, you're going to come back in. Let me see that one more time. The bottom edge, you'll come in with just the dark, just the dark triangle. Take this off, and you can either trim it even here or add. Yeah, I think I would just finish it just like that. So take this loose from here and just trim that off. That's what I would do. All right, so yeah, my geese are going the wrong way. No, or do they? Yeah, they do go south. They're going the wrong way. Well, they're my geese, so understandably they're a little confused. All right, so here, and this is why it's important to keep some of the fabric left over. And then after I finish that, I will put these borders on, and then I will quilt this puppy. So, all right. So now we're going to get ready for show and tell. And then I have a fall surprise planned for you. I accidentally saw a picture, and it made me think that I could make that. I don't think I saved it though. I don't think I did. And let me see. All right, so I'm just going to be making this one up out of thin air, but I can do that. All right, let me come to show and tell. All right, people. Let's see, Miss Alberta, we have first. Let me bring this up and then come over and anchor this. There, I love her blue and yellow. This is her lemony quilt. And I think that looks like a lot of fun. Great. I love it. Okay. So, way to go, Miss Alberta. Now, let's see who we're going to see now. Let me see. Miss Bonnie, I love how she's got such a playful spirit. Look at this. Isn't that cute? She has this little dragon statue. So she made him a Viking cape herself. Isn't that cute? Then here she is with her version of the Viking cape. And then she made herself a ceremonial robe. She does reenacting. So she has a lot of fun making this stuff. And it is wonderful. So there she is. And here is her finish of a wonderful block she made. I love the look of that. Oh, yeah, don't you love Debbie's? I love how she does that. Everything is like um a little surprise. Now I thought I made a folder for me and I'm not seeing it right now. Let me see if it's in here. Hold on one second. October. Hmm. Hmm. I guess I didn't make a new one, but I'll show you. So this is our reverse applique quilt that I made for my granddaughter. Well, I gifted to my granddaughter. When I finished it, I thought of her. And then, come on, come on. My grandsons are learning how to saw wood. I think that's exciting. And oh, this was the sidewalk I made to go under my yatai, which because it is Japanese food vendors. They set up on the sidewalks in the city. So I made the vendor and wanted to put it on a base. And here are my grandsons in school, and they're in first grade and kindergarten. I love them. And Donnie's at the stage where that's Russell. Donnie's at the stage where he's learning how to smile. So cute. Oh, I didn't plan on this one. All right. I think that's pretty much, except we do have a picture of my grandson's high school band from the competition a week ago. All right. now let me see who is next. All right, show and tell. Let's see, Debbie. Okay, and oh, I love this. That is a wonderful Halloween quilt. Look at that. And then Debbie's wonderful seasonal display right on her stair landing. Is that the coolest thing? I just love that. And I used to have a stair landing like that. Never thought to do that. That is such a neat idea. It's like her little art gallery. And look at this wonderful New York beauty. I love Debbie's workspace in that loft area. Oh, that must be so nice to work in. Super, super, super. Okay. And we're lucky. Deb's now on the East Coast because she was living in Houston. So then she moved to Maryland. She moved to Maryland 20 years after I moved away. Aw. Now, Hopi, I was looking through a bunch of things on my phone. These are all things Hopi sent me, and they're so cute. Oh, you're asking Santa for another ladder to display the other side of the stair landing. Oh, that's great. Oh, that is wonderful. You have really inspired us, Debbie, with your seasonal decorating. So Hopi sent that to me. Then here is one of the bags that she recently made that she's selling. I just love the work she does. And I think this is what she was telling me about, that in her area, the indigenous people use stones to mark paths. And that is so neat. Love it. And then look at this, hand feeding a bird. How lucky. I love that. And then this is so funny. This is so me. Isn't that the cutest? Oh gosh. Then here is her setup that she did this yesterday. And I love it. That is a lot of happiness, a lot of hard work, and a lot of joy. And then this is the fence of a house not too far near her. Isn't that sweet? So I just thought I would share some of the little things she sends me. This is something she makes, and these are baby changing pad things. A wallpaper hanger. Oh, cool. What? Yeah. And look how lucky with her name, and she can get these wonderful little riveted, um, now I've lost the term, but little riveted things for her work. This is, now let me double check I didn't miss anything. No, I didn't. Here is, this is what makes her work so cool. Look at this piece of leather holding this baby diaper changing tote. But isn't that cool? And then it comes, I'm hoping I've got a picture of it, but it comes with a pad you lay on whatever surface to change the baby on. So that's really neat. Here's another funny she came up with. Boy, that would be fun to go to a quilting bee. Oh man. And then I think she said she made these flags. This is the Labrador flag. And I love this I assume that that's a branch of a type of pine, but that is her Labradorian flag. Here's the changing pad that goes with this little set. Isn't that nice? I told her I would have loved one of those when I was raising my kids. So I just thought I would send you some of the cute things that she sends me. And And Miss Jo sews. We've got her 2 quilts, and I'm sure she's working on something new, and she'll send as soon as she can. She's probably at a busy point lately. And look at this tumbling block. Oh, when I was lucky enough to go to Pompeii and saw a tumbling block mosaic, and I thought, oh, wow. So I do have a Jenny Beyer kit for tumbling block, and that will probably be my next my next challenge. All right. So now, okay. Oh, good job redoing your apartment, Marcia. All right. And this is why I want Linda Williams to go on YouTube and see the this past week's um textile talks, because the woman was a applique, not, what do you call it? I am losing my words. All I can say is I haven't had a full night's sleep in a week. So, but what do we call it when we take different pieces and put them together? But anyway, I will definitely let Miss Williams know about that textile talk. Okay, Miss Mary and her amazing, she does so much, but I love I love this splash quilt, the reversible applique. So that is really nice. All right. Let's see who I have left. Some new things made by Miss Melton. We love a collage. Thank you, ladies. You are so good. I tell you. Oh, it was hard. I probably didn't get to sleep till 3:30. Got up at 9:30 to feed the dogs. Tried to go back to sleep, but had to get right back up. Oh well. You have nothing to show yet, Mary. I have a feeling you're working on something good. And so here is, don't forget, and it's Swan Quilt. Oh gosh, I need to write these things down. Melton's Etsy site, and it's something about swan. And so go look, but she sells these on her Etsy site. And you're getting them all the way from Turkey, which is wonderful. Oh, thank you, Laura. That was sweet of you to say that. Oh, okay. So here is, I love these book covers, and she puts so many interesting things. I love to see how far her quilting and embroidery, machine embroidery, have come. She's something else. This is a piece of her grandmother's weaving. She did it with her toes. So I guess that her feet would hold the base of the yarns, and she would weave them. I mean, it's just fascinating. I love it. I love that she brings the culture of Turkey, an ancient culture, right to us. So thank you, Miss Melton, for all you do to broaden our minds. Oh, here, I did have a folder. I'm sorry. I promise by next Sunday I'm going to have a full night's sleep. I promise. These are pictures from Mark, and he loves going to the coast. He just feels such an affinity, such a communion with nature on the coast. And so that's why at some point we'll be moving closer to the coast. But isn't that beautiful? The sunsets are gorgeous. Oh, I put this in it because my grandsons are playing with pumpkins. And gosh, I remember that. Then here is another sunset. Look at that. He got that timed just right. So this is on the sound side of where he is. His hotel faces the sound, not the ocean. He has to walk to the ocean. And then here is my wonderful daughter-in-law and my grandsons picking their pumpkin. Then they'll come home and cut it open. Here is another. When Mark first got there, it was cloudy and rainy, but it has turned beautiful. Then some people who are staying in the hotel too, he was talking to them. They come to fish. He was telling them how he has to get to the ocean to get some shells for me because that's my gift every time he goes, and I love it. And they said, well, we're going over to fish. We'll see what we can get for her. And look at all these things. They've got shark's teeth and all these barnacle shells and all of these wonderful treasures. So I want to thank them very much. Okay, and here is another wonderful view. Looks like finally the rain clouds are going to lift and go away. Isn't that beautiful? Now, this is the sunset reflecting in the buildings, on the buildings. Beautiful. Look at that. He's right here taking the picture down the hotel with the sunset reflecting on the walls. Isn't that beautiful? There is an artist in there with him. Here's a picture of me working on the very first moon glow quilt block. So I'm sitting here on the couch with my lap desk on, and watching a show and hand sewing this. Okay. And every time when he goes, let me see if I can get this turned right. Every time, there's my foot and my basket. So I'm sitting on my couch. And every time he goes for one of his beach trips, yeah, I don't know why they're black unless they're just old. They've been in the water a while. I don't know. Good question. But this is called Perlo. My grandmother was Arcadian from South Carolina, and it was one of the Cajun dishes that she loved, and I love it. So every time when he goes, yeah, you know what? Is it the Pamlico? I'm not sure that it's Topsail Island in North Carolina. Getting that down kind of close to South Carolina, not far from Myrtle Beach. And so I love corn on the cob. Here's a hamburger patty. I broil those up. I broil them enough for the whole week. And then I use my giant cast iron skillet and I make a big skillet of Perlo. And what you do is I get a couple onions and 2/3 of a pound of bacon, and I saute that up. Then I put rice. I put a can and a half of tomato paste, some salt and pepper, and a little bit of butter, and I cook that all up. And oh my gosh, it's heaven. I've always said I want to be buried with a plate of Perlo. So I dearly, dearly love it. And it's one of those meals that tastes better the next day. So I have had this for dinner every night since he's been gone. And I love it. I'll eat it. If it's this, hey, I got asparagus. I haven't eaten those yet. But this is my favorite dinner every night when he's gone. All right. I think that was my last. Let me see. I don't know if, no, can't show that. All right. Well, I showed you everything I had available. Now let's go and see. No, I'm looking to see if there's anything. I think that was the last thing. All right. So now we'll come back to, whoops, let me close this out. We're going to come back and see what am I planning for this canvas. Well, I saw the coolest thing, and I keep canvases around. Sometimes I paint, not that often, but I've got one upstairs that I'm working on. And I used to want to be a painter, but then I realized there was I'm very tactile, and the working with fabric seemed to really hit the spot with me. So I was looking around when I was I'm making a pumpkin painting upstairs. And while I was looking for some, get an idea of exactly how I wanted to paint it, how I wanted the brush strokes, I saw the coolest thing. And what it was a pumpkin on a canvas, but it had, so I'm just going to draw a big pumpkin like this. And and this is why I only use white erasers, because wherever you erase, you will not leave any dyes behind. All right. So I'm just going to draw this pumpkin. And then, believe it or not, I'm going to take all my orange fabrics and I'm going to do a collage on canvas with orange fabric. So what I'm going to use for this is my good old-fashioned, I will not be sewing on this. I'm just going to be doing a fusible. So I got my Steamacine 2, and I'm going to use a whole lot more fabrics than this, but this is just to show you, whoops, pardon me. This is just to show you how I'm going to start out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fuse, get a bunch of scraps of this, and I probably have plenty already left over from some of the earlier projects. And I'm going to put Steamacine on the back of these scraps. I'm going to take it upstairs. Whoops, let me close this curtain just a bit. When I started the show, it looked like it was just going to let loose. And we did get a little bit of rain, but now the sun's out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put the Steamacine 2 on the back of a bunch of scraps of oranges, yellows, reds, any color that I think might show up in the pumpkin. And then I'm going to use my little applique iron when I sit in front of the TV tonight. And I'm going to do a collage, a fusible collage on this canvas. And I might paint the background, or maybe I'll collage the background. But I thought I saw a picture of this and thought, I never thought of that. So I think that, ooh, oh, that sounds nice, Mary. But what do you think? I think it would be really cool. And then I'll have this as one of my decorations. So I'm going to get some browns and tans and, who knows, maybe I'll do a pumpkin leaf over here and then add some greens and grays. But I'm going to go ahead and do a collage pumpkin. So next week I'll come and show you what I've got. And that way you can have your own original fabric art. So I'll let you know how the fusing process goes. This is a pre-primed canvas, so I assume this is a gesso, and I think it should do pretty good. So we will definitely find out, but I think this, well, you know what? Let me just try something. We're just give me 1 second. We're going to try something and see how this works. Because I'm kind of curious and I want to know. I don't want anybody to start something that might not work good, because maybe someone thought it made a good painting or print, but maybe it wouldn't work in real life. So let's see. And it's going to give me a chance. It's going to give me a chance to, whoops, what is this doing in here? It's going to give me a chance to, oh boy. All right. It's going to give me a chance to use shadowing, highlighting with fabrics. So that would be pretty good, because you can learn when you have to get that color fabric out. It really can help you learn. So I got my iron heated up. I'm just going to put a little bit of fusible on here. And let's see, because I saw this picture and I said, oh, I hadn't thought of trying that. So there we go. Put that there. All right. And then, and this is going to be, I'm just going to take pieces. And so I don't want them to be too big either. So let me see. But I'm going to try to keep the pieces relatively small so that we have a lot of interest. So I'm peeling off the paper, and we'll put it right there, and let's see. That works just fine. Okay, so I think this is going to work. I think this is going to be something fun. You don't have to match seams. You don't have to anything. So this is today's surprise. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope that you will give it a try too. So, and if you don't have a canvas at home, not everybody has canvases at home, unless you're a pack rat like me, but try it with a piece of cardstock, a piece of painted cardboard, whatever. Just a way to think of your fabric art in a slightly different form. Okay? Well, I hope you'll give it a shot. It was so nice being with you today. I'm having so much fun. I hate to leave. But I know the dogs who need to be fed. They're going to definitely start complaining. But I hope you have a great week ahead. Oh, I went to see Downton Abbey Thursday and ate a whole bunch of popcorn and then felt a little weird the rest of the day. So don't overdo the buttered popcorn, okay? But it definitely lets me know I want to see more movies. That's my thing I do just for me. So please have a great week ahead. Do something special for you. Keep creating whatever it takes to keep you in your happy place. And I can't wait to see you next week. Let's see. I'll have plenty of these things to show you how they're coming along. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for our wonderful moderators. Y'all are terrific. And you keep me creating. You keep me pursuing this wonderful journey. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Have a great week. Do something special just for you. Yes, especially that butter. Because I say, when I get my bucket of popcorn, I say, can you only fill it halfway so I can go put some butter on it? And then they fill the rest of the way. And oh my gosh. So be careful. But take good care. It was so great. Nice to see you, Cheryl. Nice to see everyone. And send me pictures. Well, let me write my address real quick. Send me pictures of a fun little holiday craft you've done or you're going to do. And I would love to see it. And just send it to our time to quilt@gmail.com. Okay, send me pictures. So, and then I've got lots to show you next week. Okay, take good care and take very good care of you because there's only one of you and you're very important to me. Bye bye, everyone. You are the best.